Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I'm here with a brand new ranking. Yes, another one this week. And this ranking is going to be for my first Christmas franchise ranking. And this is actually going to be for a trilogy of Christmas horror films. And by say trilogy, this trilogy is not going to be for a standalone film and two sequels. This is going to be for a standalone film and two remakes, because this was a Christmas horror film that got no sequels. And one of the few slashers to stay just a one and done film. However, it did get two remakes. Both one in 2006, one in 2019. And this is going to be for the Black Christmas trilogy ranking, or the Black Christmas films. From the best to the worst this time. So anyway, with that being said, let's get started. So, obviously kicking off at number one is going to be for 1974's original Black Christmas. This is actually, the one from 1974, the one that started this. I consider this my favorite Christmas-themed horror film and one of my favorite Christmas movies and slasher movies of all time. I must say that it was a well-done film for its time, as the atmosphere, scenes, and story was detailed and fit all together. Many of the scenes were creepy, as the darkness and shadows of what's around the corner made the film work so well. And directed by Bob Clark, ironically, director of Porky's and director of A Christmas Story even, of all people, actually directed this. His very early work before he became famous with comedy movies paints a somewhat dim and cold take on the Christmas holiday. There was almost consideration of making more horror films around holidays like this. Something I had to give this film is that basing it around Christmas is a great idea. And I wish we had more Christmas-themed slashers like this. Like, we have students going away for the holidays, or just going home for them, so people could go missing and no one notices it. The killer in this one was quite creepy as well. The prank calls he is making are quite unnerving. And if I'm going to be perfectly honest, and what I do find interesting is the interesting is that the 2006 remake kind of uses the things he says in this one to expand the story of the film for that one, but I'm going to get to that remake later. I almost like that we never really figure out why some things are said or who the names correlate to. I do like that he incorporates conversations from the house though, because it points to Peter as the prime suspect, and there's still some glaring issues with this film. However, I will admit there's still some glaring issues I have with this film though. The first is kind of how no one discovers the body of Claire, and she's positioned right in front of a window, and we show that that you can see her from the street. I get there could be frost in the window, but at the end of the film, literally nobody checks the attic. It's kind of just a laughable plot hole to me after everything that kind of goes down. And the next issue I have would be kind of the pacing at times, but I would ignore that stuff, and I just enjoy the film for how it is, and it's a perfect holiday classic that should be a must-watch every Christmas for horror fans. Now, kicking off at number two would have to be for the first remake this film got for 2006, albeit, sadly, this was a very disappointing one, and that is Black Xmas 2006. This is pretty much the defining example of a horror remake that was botched by studio interference. I feel so bad for Glenn Morgan, because this is not even how he wanted to make the movie. He wanted this version to be just like the Bob Clark movie, except it was going to have a more modern theme and have no explicit content in it. This remake is nothing but gore, with no original plot ideas, and most of all, many ideas stolen from other horror films. In this film, we see the killers front and center. We also get a house full of sorority girls that we do not care about. They're just trashy and disgusting in this film. There's nobody you care for. Some unneeded, over-the-top, and disgusting gore, like the recurring kill of the killers gobbling and or stabbing someone's eye out and then eating it, which was just nauseating to watch, especially for an R-rated movie. And I also really hated that infamous scene where Billy's own mother rapes him at the age of 12. Who wants to see that in a Christmas horror film? That's just disgusting to watch. Especially not helping the fact that this movie was literally released on Christmas Day, 2006. And this movie got backlash for that very release date. Oh my god, And the final act where the killers are revealed to still be alive and chasing the female protagonist around a hospital feels like a copy and rip-off of an actually better horror movie, Halloween 2. And I really hate that they had a guy play Agnes, because Agnes is supposed to be a female killer, and why is he played by a man? And his performance was so cringy and over the top, oh my god. Is there any good qualities with this remake? Well, yeah. I will admit, it is nice to see Andrea Martin, who is one of the main sorority sisters in the original Black Christmas named Phil, return to play a role in this film. And finally, After all the abuse and torture they put him through, Billy killing his abusive mother and stepdad is very satisfying to watch. At least there is that. And also, I will admit, it is definitely better than the next film I'm getting to. Because with that, the number one worst movie of these three is going to obviously be Black Christmas 2019. This movie should be called Black Wokeness. Because anyway, if you guys thought that 2006 remake was bad, oh boy. This one makes it look like a great movie. Seriously, guys. This movie had no quality plot, writing, thought, or direction. The characters were exceptionally bad and unlikable and had no depth. The scares were cliche and very unoriginal. Like, when I first started YouTube and got some horror subscribers 2 years ago, I remember all of them really getting mad if they heard this movie's existence. And then I watched this movie out of curiosity last Christmas for a rant, and oh my god. This film was so horrendous and overly woke as fuck. The entire movie is a blatant feminist propaganda delivered with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer to the face. In fact, it's pretty much Wokebusters 2016 all over again. Like, and I really did not like Chris in this movie. She was the worst character in this movie by a landslide. And with the men, they're supposed to be unlikable villains. However, Chris is supposed to be seen as this role model and supporting protagonist, and she's just this annoying, obnoxious, and very immature feminist. Like, she's basically the equivalent of an activist on TikTok who has her logic all backwards. And though it's advertised as being a slasher, this movie's literally rated PG-13. Like, why? The other two Black Christmas movies are rated R. Black Christmas is not a horror film made for kids. Like, oh my god. And it means the kills and violence are all watered down with very few scares. And there's even little to no connection to either of the previous Black Christmas films. Like the 1974-2006 movies are literally about a crazy guy and then a mad woman in 2006 remake stalking and killing members of a sorority house. Like, this one is literally about an evil spirit possessing men to get them to murder women. Like, oh my god, that's not Black Christmas. Why is this movie even called Black Christmas? It's like they literally just called this Black Christmas to cast in on the success and popularity of the original film. In fact, it literally feels more like an Amityville horror film that doesn't have anything to do with Black Christmas at all. Is there anything good about it? Well, barely anything. Well, just a good performance from Amazing Poets, but nothing else. And would I watch The Last Jedi over this? Oh my god, okay. I hate to say this, guys, but yeah. I'd rather be forced to watch The Last Jedi over this piece of shit movie any day of my life. And I give this movie a -0 out of 10. There we go. Well, that pretty much covers up my ranking for all three Black Christmas adaptations or versions. I want to know in the comments below, for those who have seen these movies, how would you rank all three of these? Well, I don't think it's going to be much of a shock. I'm pretty sure most of you who have seen all three of these would probably rank them, obviously. And I don't think that's going to come off as any surprise. What your number one worst would obviously be. But I still want to know your guys' rankings for those who have seen all three of the films. Or if you've only seen the original, just let me know. Well, maybe it is good you only see the original. But till then, guys, that'll be it for this ranking. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this, want to see more, and don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.